The glowing gate faded behind them, sealing shut with a gentle hum as the children stepped into the next chamber. The air was thicker here, warmer, almost humming with an unseen energy. Walls rose high around them, etched with swirling patterns and crystal inlays that sparkled like stars. Zoey kept a tight grip on her pendant. "Where are we now?" Alina knelt near the floor, brushing her fingers over a glowing circle in the stone. "We're in the vestibule of trials. This is where the city measures intent, not just memory." Milo raised an eyebrow. "Intent? Like, if we're good or bad?" Alina nodded. "Sort of. It senses what you truly want, and why." The room ahead was circular and massive, with a domed ceiling that pulsed like the inside of a giant clock. In the center stood 4 tall columns, each with a large floating crystal atop it. Between them, strange tiles covered the floor, each one inscribed with a different symbol, some familiar, others completely alien. Luna stepped cautiously onto one of the tiles. Nothing happened. Milo followed and landed on a tile with an hourglass symbol. It immediately lit up beneath his feet, and a section of the wall slid open to reveal a glowing riddle. "I pass, but never return. I touch all, but hold none. What am I?" "Time," whispered Zoey before Milo could speak. The wall pulsed, and a musical chime rang out as the tile turned green. "Nice," Milo said, impressed. "Each of us may have to answer something," Alina warned. "Be careful. This place doesn't just test your mind, it tests your heart." Luna stepped forward onto a tile with a feather symbol. Another riddle appeared. "I'm light as air, but the strongest can't hold me. What am I?" Luna hesitated, then said, "Breath." Another chime, another green tile. Zoey chose a tile with a lock symbol. Her riddle read, "The more you keep me, the harder I am to hold. The more you share me, the lighter I become. What am I?" Zoey took a breath. A secret. The room hummed with approval. Then Alina stepped forward. But instead of a riddle, a large mirror emerged from the floor in front of her. She saw herself, not as she was now, but younger, alone, and afraid. "No riddle?" asked Milo. "This is my test," Alina said quietly. In the mirror, her younger self whispered, "You left them." Alina looked down, guilt clouding her face. "I didn't mean to." Zoey stepped beside her. "You don't have to do this alone." Suddenly, Zoey's heartbeat quickened as the black mist thickened above them, spreading like ink dropped in water. Luna grabbed her hand instinctively, and even Milo, who usually cracked a joke during tense moments, was silent. The fracture in the ceiling widened, and the mist began spiraling downward in thin tendrils. "We need to move," Alina said, her voice tense but focused. "Now." The group hurried down the newly revealed staircase, which spiraled tightly into the earth. As they descended, the glow from above dimmed, replaced by a soft golden hue coming from sconces built into the walls, each one lighting up as they passed. The steps were smooth and cold, carved perfectly into the stone. It was clear this path hadn't been used in centuries. "Who built all of this?" Luna whispered. "Caretakers," Alina replied. "The ancient protectors of the eye, but they vanished long ago. Some say they became one with the city itself." Milo glanced over his shoulder. "Let's just hope they're not ghosts." At the bottom of the stairs, they emerged into a chamber even larger than the last. In the center stood a giant mechanical construct, its shape resembling a spherical puzzle, layers upon layers of interlocking rings, each one inscribed with symbols like those from the floor tiles above. Zoe walked slowly toward it. What is it? The heart lock, Alina answered. It holds the gateway to the eye, but it only opens when aligned with the truth. How do we do that? Milo asked. Alina pointed to a platform beside the construct. Each of us will place our pendant on one of the plates. It will read our memories and our intentions. Luna looked unsure. What if it doesn't accept us? Then the path remains closed, Alina said simply. One by one, they stepped forward. Zoe went first, placing her pendant on the plate. The heart lock glowed faintly, one ring beginning to rotate. Milo followed, then Luna. Each time the construct moved slightly more. Finally, Alina stepped up. As she laid her pendant on the last plate, the heart lock paused. A low hum vibrated through the chamber. Suddenly, it stopped moving. Zoe frowned. What's wrong? A voice, calm but echoing, filled the chamber. It wasn't from a speaker or a person. It was like the city itself was speaking. One truth remains hidden. What does that mean? Milo asked, turning to Alina. Alina's eyes widened. It's asking for something we haven't shared. A small orb of light emerged from the center of the heart lock and hovered before them. Inside it swirled flickering images. Zoe at the library, Milo sneaking out of his house, Luna in the attic, Alina alone in the forest. Then, one image solidified. A hallway, a locked door, a child standing. Alina stepped forward. That's the truth it wanted. With a deep click, the heart lock began to rotate again, its rings spinning faster. Light poured from its center, forming a beam that pierced the floor below. And then a circular hatch opened beneath them. The hatch creaked open, revealing a narrow slide carved into stone, its surface polished smooth by time. Before anyone could react, the floor tilted slightly, and one by one the group tumbled through. They landed on soft moss in a hidden cavern, the air humid and filled with the sound of dripping water. Bioluminescent vines hung from the ceiling, casting gentle green and blue glows across the walls. Strange murals surrounded them, painted in spirals and flowing shapes that pulsed faintly as if alive. Luna sat up first, rubbing her elbow. Everyone okay? I think I left my dignity at the top, Milo muttered, brushing dirt off his jeans. Zoe stood, slowly turning to examine the chamber. What is this place? Alina's face had gone pale. I didn't know this was down here. In the center of the cavern stood a platform made of glass-like material, hovering just above the ground without support. At its center was a pedestal. On it, a floating key made of light. Zoe stepped closer. Is that the final key? As they approached, a shimmering wall of energy appeared between them and the pedestal. Alina reached out, but it pushed her back gently. A voice echoed once again, not from a speaker, but the air itself. Only one may proceed, the one who carries the burden of all. What does that mean? Luna asked, uneasy. Milo looked at Zoe. It's you, isn't it? You've been the one holding everything together. Your map, your notes, you figured out the cipher. Zoe hesitated. But what if I fail? You won't, said Alina, her voice steady. We're with you, always. Taking a deep breath, Zoe stepped through the shimmering veil. It rippled like water but let her pass. As soon as she touched the pedestal, the room darkened. Suddenly, she wasn't in the cavern anymore. She stood in a reflection of her room, but empty, colorless, and silent. On the desk was a single page from her journal, but the words were scrambled, moving. A figure appeared in the mirror opposite her, not scary, familiar. A younger version of herself, maybe 8 years old. Why did you stop believing? The reflection asked. Zoe's eyes filled with tears. I didn't stop. I just got scared. Then face it. The mirror cracked, and the words on the page formed a sentence. The truth you seek is the truth you fear. Suddenly, Zoe was back in the cavern. The glowing archway pulsed with a steady rhythm, as though it had sensed the activation of the key. Zoe stepped toward it, her fingers still wrapped around the shimmering light now resting in her palm. As she got closer, the key grew warmer, emitting a low, harmonious hum that resonated through the chamber. Does it open the door? Milo asked, peering at the arch. Zoe nodded. Let's find out. She raised the key and touched it to the center of the archway. Instantly, the stone rippled outward like the surface of a pond. Then, the solid rock began to dissolve, revealing a spiraling tunnel bathed in golden light. The air shifted, warmer, almost electric. Without a word, the group stepped into the tunnel. The walls were lined with moving inscriptions, like stories written in motion. Images of stars, eyes, maps, and symbols they had seen in their journey. The tunnel seemed to whisper softly in many voices, blending into one melodic hum. Alina walked beside Zoe. This tunnel, it's not just a passage, it's memory. Every step forward brings us closer, not just to the eye, but to the moment it was hidden. Luna gasped. You mean we're walking through time? In a way, Alina replied. This place was designed to preserve knowledge and protect it. As they continued deeper, the tunnel widened into a circular chamber. At its center was a tall structure, an obelisk made of dark crystal, floating above a pool of still water. Carved into its base were 6 slots, each shaped like the pendants they carried. It's the vault, Alina whispered. They slowly approached and one by one placed their pendants into the slots. As the last one clicked into place, the obelisk began to rotate slowly. Light flowed from the pool below, casting moving patterns on the walls and ceiling. Then, a final voice, clearer, closer, spoke. You have passed the trials. You have faced your truth. Now, witness the first vision. The water in the pool turned to light and began to rise. Within the glow, an image formed, a city, ancient and golden, floating above a vast sea. In its center, a colossal eye shimmered, watching the world below. Zoe stared, breathless. That's the eye? Yes, Alina said. And that was its last moment before disappearing. But why was it hidden? Milo asked. The vision shifted, a gathering of figures cloaked in stars. One among them, taller than the rest, held the eye above. As the tunnel began to close behind them, the group stood silent, each holding their pendant, now more than just a symbol. It was a key, a memory, and a promise. And outside, above the hills, the moonlight began to shift to a strange hue of violet, signaling that the next stage of their journey had already begun.